Welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core number 94. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, hello.
Hello.
How are you? How's your weekend been?
It's good. It's a pre-Thanksgiving errands weekend. I have to go get groceries and hope the store isn't crowded.
Yes, exactly. We've gotten some of our groceries and stuff, all that, because we're like, let's get it before the rush is there. So if we need any last minute stuff, it's not like, oh no, everyone's out of turkey or whatever, you know. But it's good. It's fun weekend indeed, especially because 1899 is out. 1899 is the new television show on Netflix by the creators of Dark. I've been super excited for this show for a while since I found out about it, like a year and some change ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I've been excited. And then I know here we are, you and I have been planning on talking about it. We weren't sure exactly how we were going to cover it, but I think we finally decided we were going to break it up into two parts. The first half and the second half of the show. So today we are going to talk about the first 4 episodes of 1899. Melissa, are you excited?
Yeah, this has been a very enjoyable ride so far.
Absolutely. I was the one that kind of introduced Dark to you. I don't remember if you had heard about it before I brought it on to the review show. One of our other podcasts.
I knew you mentioning it before you said we ought to actually watch it so you could show it to me.
Yeah, because I had covered it, like started to on another podcast, all that stuff. So yeah, but we covered the show in its entirety on the review show, and I think it maybe not skyrocketed to your top favorite shows of all time like it did me, but enough to be like, I like these creators. They have some good stuff.
Yeah, Dark is an extremely well executed show. It's very tightly plotted, looks and sounds stunning. It's like aesthetically one of the most pleasing things I've ever watched. It's got an excellent cast, but it is dark. Like there are not moments of levity, humor, sweetness, charm. Like it's a well-constructed show, but it is so heavy that as much as I admire it, I can't say, oh, I love that show. One of my favorites. But I was really interested to see what those creators would go on to do next.
Yes, exactly. And I think they listened because they put like 1 or 2 jokes in here that I really enjoyed. Yeah.
There is something in here that I laughed very hard at, but I don't think it's supposed to be a joke.
Okay, well then maybe not the thing I'm thinking of, but there was one thing that I laughed really hard at because I was like, this is stupid. This is great. I love it. But no, 1899, I've been super excited for it for some time. I think it continues in the same kind of like atmospheric space that Dark was in. It's very moody. It is very dark visually, but it is rich. There is details galore in the clothing that people are wearing, to their earrings, to the things that they say, little details in the background, and the carpets and the pictures and the paintings, all that stuff. It's filled with all sorts of details. And it's a mystery show. We're not sure exactly what is happening, what is going on. Let me at least read the premise here from the Wikipedia page. And it says, set in 1899, just at the turn of the new century, the series follows a group of European migrants traveling from London on a steamship named the Kerberos to start new lives in New York City. The passengers are united in optimism about the future. United in optimism about what the future holds until they encounter another migrant ship, the Prometheus, adrift on the open sea. A hitherto uncomplicated journey to the promised land turns into a horrifying nightmare of staggering proportions.
First off, I gotta say, I think this is the first time on the show we've ever said hitherto.
I think so. I think it's the first time in my life I've said that word. Achievement
Finally, now that you're
right?
32, you're hitherto.
Indeed. I think that is a pretty good, like, spoiler-free summary of what this is. I think I might just add a couple more details in there. It's a bunch of migrants from mostly around Europe, but they speak all sorts of different languages, including Cantonese and French and German, Norwegian, all sorts of stuff. Or Dutch,
Danish.
Yeah. I guess I'm not clear on exactly what languages everything is all in there. All sorts of different people, and things are just immediately strange with this story. We open with this weird poem. We open with this imagery of like a strange giant black pyramid in the middle of the ocean, and these crazy vortexes and stuff like that. Just right off the bat, hits the ground running with something is weird here.
Yeah,
like not everything is as it seems. And I think the mystery revolves around this second ship, the Prometheus, that has basically been missing for the past 4 months. They lost contact with the ship. They don't know if it was attacked or if it sank or if just communications are out and they went somewhere else. They're not sure exactly what happened. And the Kerberos, as they are sailing to New York, come across this mysterious signal that they believe is from the Prometheus. They go off course to investigate, and that's truly when the weird things start happening and the mysteries start to unravel. I'm excited to see where this show goes. I don't know if this is meant to be like a mini series, like it's only meant to be this one thing, or if they're planning more seasons after this. I'm not sure yet, especially since I haven't seen the whole show yet.
We don't know if it ends on a cliffhanger or not.
Right.
We'll keep watching. We'll know later. When we do these reactor cores about a show that drops all at once, and we're not talking about all of it at once, like, I can't watch 5 episodes and only talk about 4. Like, if we're going to talk about 4, I can only watch 4. I can't cloud my mind with anything else.
Exactly. I was thinking about almost watching it all and like coming in to this with a whole bunch of extra knowledge, not to spoil it, but just to have some extra context. But I was like, nah, I'll wait. I'll hold off.
So we keep in mind, we are coming into this purposefully contextless. We only watched 4 episodes. We might wonder about a lot of things that you, the listener, already have answered for you if you watched episode 5.
Right. Yeah. I think with that in mind, I feel like this is going to be like it's not going to be as short as our like half an hour. We just watched the latest episode of whatever show that we watched that we typically do. I don't think this will be as long as our like hour and a half spoiler casts or who knows what that we tend to do for Mayobies. I feel like this is going to be somewhere in between. But still spoiler free so far. Do you have any other kind of thoughts that you want to add to this, or are you ready to dive into spoilers?
There is one thing I want to say. If there's an audience member who has not yet started watching 1899, if you wanted to learn a little bit about it, it is a big ensemble cast. You're following like 14 characters. Yeah. And it is not just multicultural, but multilingual. Like most of the dialogue is in subtitles in multiple different languages. It's a show you really have to pay attention to. But one of the strengths of it, and this was one of the strengths of Dark as well, it's a really well cast show. Like all the performers are doing an excellent job, but also they all look very distinct. Like you might see a character and maybe you don't remember what their name is, but you remember who they are. Like every crew member on the ship who you spend more than like 2 minutes with, you can tell everybody apart. So a lot is going on, but I don't think it's difficult to follow. And I think they really worked hard to make sure that you were only wondering about the mysteries they wanted you to wonder about. And you weren't like, who's this again? Where are they from?
Yeah, exactly. So if you are going to check it out, we hope you enjoy it. I think so far this first half of the show, I am enjoying a lot. But again, since I don't know if this is only going to be like a mini series or something, I'm potentially worried or concerned that it might be too much of a mystery to tackle in this show. But we shall see. Who knows? Because I felt Dark was like perfectly plotted out to tell the story they wanted to tell. So I think if they went into that with that same skills set and that same knowledge, then I feel like the show will be exactly what it needs to be. So we shall see. That being said, I say we get into spoilers. Let's get into discussing some of the mysteries and such. Okay. What do you want to talk about first, Melissa? Should I do like a brief rundown of the episodes? Just like a real quick, here's what each one focuses on?
No. Let's just get into it. What are your thoughts, Kyle? What do you think is the deal with what's going on? Because I'm leaning towards this is a simulation of some kind. I don't think what we're seeing is real at all.
Potentially. I think the first things that I want to talk about is that symbol, the like upside down triangle with that line between it, as well as the opening credits of this, which I think is maybe a clue in and of itself that I don't think people will necessarily know. Who knows? It might not be, but I think it is a clue. So let's start with that symbol. All right. There is this kind of logo. It turns out that this is the logo of, I think, the shipping company that this boat is owned by, that they are on. They are also the one that owns the Prometheus, the ship that went missing. But it seems like this motif of a triangle is a reoccurring theme in this show. Of course, a triangle just in history, in literature, has all kinds of different meanings and connotations, all sorts of stuff. I think right off the bat, if you invert it and it is a pyramid with that top part split off, it's the Illuminati all-seeing eye, right? Which is already just like, okay, there's a mysterious thing with that. I think this whole show also taking place on a boat. You and I recently, for the review show, one of our other podcasts, watched the Titanic. It could be just a tip of an iceberg, right? Which again implies just like this is just a small bit of the mystery that is happening here, right? I think religiously, you can have the Holy Trinity, right? The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. There is a lot of religious themes here. There is a whole group of people that are traveling to New York to start a church. They are also within the show. They are kept in the bottom of the ship. They are kind of considered like the third class tickets here in this, and so they're kind of locked up, which is strange and mysterious to me. But I also don't know exactly all the cultural norms that maybe would have been in there or
right. Yeah, we don't know if it's like if this boat in this story is like, no, there's a grate to the lower levels, you don't go down there, or if this was unfortunately common practice. We don't have a lot of shipping context We don't know from old boats.
Yeah, or because they are the people that are down there. Those are the Norwegian people. Is that right? Are they Dutch? I don't remember.
The main characters we are following are Danish, but I think there are people from all over the area who are in that lower level. Just our protagonists, the people we're following, the people who are sort of leading the religious services, I think they are from Denmark or nearby.
So I don't know if that is like a racial prejudice or religious persecution or who knows what. But there is this line right in the logo that splits this triangle. I don't know if that is supposed to represent some kind of separation, like it is the Father separated from the Son and the Holy Spirit. Is it something else entirely? But it is a recurring motif. It is this mysterious symbol that keeps appearing. And I you see it in the carpet on the ship in some of the things. The captain of the ship discovers these like shafts deeper down into the ship that are just completely black tiled. Like, how did this get there? Why is it there? I know every inch of this ship. This is not on the blueprints. Why is it in there?
Modern looking. It is this glossy black, extremely neat subway tile. It looks absolutely anachronistic to the rest of the ship.
Like a ceramic bathroom tile.
Yeah.
You've seen like the white version of this in like someone's shower.
Yes.
Right?
This is like HGTV glamour that he's finding under a mysterious hatch under his bed in this wooden ship.
Right. Yeah, it's mysterious. You see the symbol on certain people's clothing. It's on the Chinese woman's kimono, which we then learn a little bit about her backstory. Is that woman murdered someone and took her place? There's multiple people on this boat who murdered someone and then took their place on the ship.
Yeah.
That also,
my God.
Weird
like,
recurring theme.
Almost nobody is who they actually tell you they are.
Right. Yeah. Which is, I have no idea, but it's on the kimono. It's in the French woman's earrings. The honeymoner, it like that symbol is in her earrings. Man, it's wild just to see all the spots that's in.
This is what makes me lean, among other things, makes me lean towards, I think this is some sort of simulation. It is in so many places. It's baffling that the characters aren't like, weird, there's that triangle again. And some characters are. Like, Mora finds the tattoo of the symbol on the mysterious little boy in the velvet suit. And she's like, wait, that's the same symbol. It's under the captain's bed. And the captain's like, oh, that's the logo of the shipping company. Like, some characters are drawing lines between some of them. But like Clemence, like the French lady, she's got it in her earrings. She's got it in like a barrette on like the back of her head that we don't see very well. I think it's there too. Why would she have earrings that look like the logo of the ship? She's walking through the ship. That company logo is like printed on the carpet. It's not hidden. It is very clearly there. Like, you notice it like the first or second time you look at the carpet. You're like, that's that triangle again. The fact that she's not like, weird. Isn't it weird that triangles everywhere? Like, this motif keeps appearing very clearly in very obvious places. And so few of the characters notice it or put it together. It's like they've got this sort of blind spot to the literal and metaphorical architecture around them.
Sure. The one defense against that, the one counterpoint is, yes, it is the shipping company's logo. They all bought tickets on this. I feel like they would have seen this and know that this boat is owned by a company that uses this logo. So seeing it in the carpet, they're not going to really remark on that. Yeah. Or on the boat somewhere. But I also just don't feel like it's the culture of like that shipping company to have a gift shop and the honey mariners are like, oh,
Right.
I like these earrings. Let me buy those. And
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah, this isn't a cruise.
right. Yeah. It's interesting that this is now starting to pop up more and more. And it's not yet truly commented on, at least in the first half of this
Yeah,
show.
like some of them are obvious, like, the shipping company, I can see them putting the logo in the carpet. And some of them are like those earrings. It's just sort of different intersecting geometric shapes. That one's a little bit more hidden, but it on the back of the kimono, it's very clearly that. And again, the fact that, and like when the girl she killed, Mei Mei, when she first shows the kimono to Ying Li, it's like, look at this thing. Look at the design on it. Isn't it pretty? So then when Ying Li gets on the ship, is she like, what does
That's weird.
does the
Yeah.
shipping company also own this sex service I work for? Do they want the shipping company logo also on the geisha outfits?
Yeah, interesting. I think that kind of leads into your theory of a simulation, as well as the opening credits. The opening credits to this show are very almost sci-fi, like
Yes.
modern, like the CG animated, but the animation is very plasticky. It's all these like cubes coming to these like fractal shapes in waves, and these like plastic looking figures of the characters like deteriorating into,
They're like marble
like,
statues.
digital. Yeah, it's something like that. It feels very sci-fi, very cyberpunk,
Yes.
very computerized. And it's such an interesting clash of, like, it's set in 1899. They're on this old ship. It's like this old world. They're on their way to the new world, right? Like it. I don't know. I feel like something is up. Maybe this isn't truly set in 1899. Only the simulation is set in 1899, if that is such a thing there. What are your thoughts on these opening credits here?
The opening credits of Dark are the highest tier. I think those are the best opening credits I have ever seen, at least under the drama category. I think if you asked me under the comedy category, Peacemaker wins that. But I was a little let down. I think if I hadn't have seen Dark first, I would think these credits were much cooler. I think they also go by very quickly. I mean, there's a lot of names they have to fit in there. You know, the episodes are already like a solid hour long. But I would like to see these opening credits played at like half speed. And I think they might be a little bit more impactful.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to talk about with why I'm leaning toward it being a simulation. The show has a format kind of like Lost in that there's a lot of flashbacks, and each episode has one character it's focusing on and showing us their flashbacks.
And
but they are aware. Yeah, the eye motif too.
Yep. And
every character is aware that they are
find, right.
You can see the Lost DNA in here very clearly, which I always appreciate. It. That's one of our favorite shows. Get ready for a lot of Lost references. Every character is aware that they are having a flashback, like they're sort of consciously in it, and they're all flashbacks of these traumatic moments in their life, and a traumatic moment that kind of put them on the path to getting on this ship. And when they're reliving these moments, they're saying, no, why is this happening again? That's something Ying Li does and something Jerome does. When they're in these situations, they're like
moments.
Yeah. And they were it seems like they were expecting or at least hoping things would go differently. Like when Ying Li, who wanted to take this girl's place, she wanted to just give her something that would kind of knock her out. Like she was not intending to kill this girl. So when the girl like drinks this tea and like gets these stomach pains and doubles over and she's moaning and crying, Ying Li is like, no, it's not supposed to happen like this again. Why is this happening again? Like, I wonder if this is like a more contemporary story where these characters are undergoing something that is meant to help them relive and change their memories of
Mm,
traumatic events that happened to them. And I think maybe the ship that we are seeing is like this sort of antechamber. It's like the framing device for these therapeutic flashbacks they're undergoing. Like this, like the whole ship feels like it's a waiting room or something. It's like the lobby when you're waiting to join like a video game server or something.
yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because we also do get a scene very close to the start, which you're not really able to tell exactly what time period it is in, but it is.
Yeah.
What's her name? The main character
Mora?
girl, Moira. Yeah. She has this scene where it appears that she is in some kind of medical facility, maybe some kind of asylum, psych ward type of thing, and it just they seem to be like dragging her back into her room as she like yells out for I think for her father, and she mentioned something like
Yeah.
I figured out what you were doing on the boat or something like that,
Uh-huh.
which I don't know if that implies that he ended up somehow showing up on the boat, or is just like, I know what you were doing with, like, you own these
Mm.
boats here.
Mm.
Something there. But yeah, like there is that mysterious thing of like, is this all some kind of like mass hallucination thing? Because every
Hmm.
episode also starts with this flashback, and Moira, the voice of Moira telling each character to wake up. Like you hear this "wake up" like
Yeah.
whispered, and it in the subtitles it says that it's Moira's voice that
Oh.
says that. It's not the own, like, each character. So I don't know
Yeah, it
exactly
is the
what that
same
means,
voice
but
for every episode. I didn't realize it was her voice.
right, yeah. So that I feel like that adds to some kind of either like simulation or mass hallucination or something like that. Um, so yeah.
Another thing I've latched onto, I don't know if the passage of time is exactly clear in these first couple episodes. I don't think it's been I think it's been like a day or two, but nobody is changing clothes. Even the more upper class passengers who have nicer rooms or wearing nicer clothes, who must have brought suitcases full of other clothes, they're wearing the same thing. Everybody's frozen in these exact same outfits.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, that's an interesting thing too. I think a more abstract thing that might add to the simulation theory stuff is the names of the boats. Um,
Mm.
so Prometheus, obviously a mythological figure, stole fire from Zeus. Kerberos is a
Mm.
alternate spelling for Cerberus, a
Yes.
three-headed dog. In the right, there's the three.
Mm.
That it was the guardian of the underworld that was meant to keep
Oh,
souls
yeah.
there. And
Yes.
so with these people, with the captain of the ship seeing his dead family on there, right, with Moira being on the ship hoping to find her brother, who is potentially dead. We don't know. With the Chinese woman having accidentally murdered her friend, right? With the Hispanic guy who's posing as a priest having murdered the actual priest and
Mm-hmm.
has taken his spot, right? There seems to be this kind of motif of death or traumatic experience, right? We also have the two French soldiers who were in the war.
Yeah.
Like they have like the white guy who's on the honeymoon, he also has PTSD. That's why his hand is shaking and he has those seizures.
Well, I think it is psychological, and I think he does also have some sort of terminal medical thing going on as well. There's a lot going on with Lucian.
Yeah, the only reason I say PTSD is there's another German show I've watched, Babylon Berlin, where the main character in that, a detective, takes that same stuff because his hand shakes. He gets these seizures, and it is because he was in the war. Okay. So that's just what my mind went to. And then we get those flashbacks with Lucian and Jerome in the war together. And so yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in there, but yeah, it could be that there's multiple people at some kind of asylum or something like that are having trouble dealing with a loss of a family member or some kind of traumatic experience that they need help getting over. And I think that's also kind of one of the themes of the show. I know in the Wikipedia, they said, like, according to some interviews, they made this as like kind of a response to the European migrant crisis and to Brexit. And they wanted to have a show that was truly like multinational, multicultural, but focusing on Europeans. And despite the language barrier, which oftentimes poses it as an obstacle, they wanted something that could they could overcome, right? So I don't know. There's lots of stuff here. Because we have this weird boy and Daniel Solace, who I think are the same character. I think that is a younger version of Daniel.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. Because they both control those beetles that can give directions and unlock doors and stuff like that.
The episode description for, I think it's episode 2, is so funny because out of context, because it just says a bug on deck leads to tragedy.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking the first time we saw that boy, I'm like, that's the baby from the future.
Yeah, potentially. It could
and
be.
I think at the very beginning of the first episode, Maura is talking about how I thought her dad had her institutionalized and messed with her head, put her under drugs, did something to her that is affecting her memory. And the way Daniel looks at her, I was thinking that's her brother, but she no longer recognizes that is her brother.
Very well could be. I had that same thought. I don't know what is up with Daniel Solace, because so when they go to investigate this mysterious signal from the Prometheus, they get there, the ship, all the lights are off, they go investigate, the ship is empty except for the small boy who they find locked in this cupboard thing.
It reminds me of the little kids hiding in the kitchen from the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
Exactly.
You just pull open a cupboard and there he is in his little velvet berries and cream suit.
Exactly. And at while they are investigating that, there is a scene on the Kerberos where a hand reaches up and this guy starts climbing on to the ship, and it is Daniel. And we don't know anything about him. Was he on that ship? Did he come from the water? What is happening here? So many mysteries.
So the last thing we saw at the end of episode 4, so after they take Berries and Cream Boy onto the Kerberos, people start dying mysteriously in ways that you cannot tell how they died. When the little girl dies, they're like, there's not a mark on her. Like, she's very clearly dead, but
Right.
we cannot see how she was injured at all. But people start dying that way, and they're like, it's the boy. It happened after we took the boy on board. It's got to be the boy. So then there's a mutiny, and they do push the little boy off the side of the boat. But then, like, on the inside of the ship, they're in some room. Like, some of the characters we have left are talking. The people who were like on the boy's side, like, I can't believe we let them do that to the boy. What are we going to do? What's happening? And then there's like a glowing light and a cabinet door starts shaking and they go over there and the boy climbs right back out again. These episodes have had great, like, final weird moments to them. They're very good at that.
Yeah. Because even at the end of episode 3, Daniel like messes with some like device thing that he has. It looks like one of those like square puzzles where there's one tile missing and you have to like rotate things to get them all in the right spot. But he does something and that activates these devices on the ships and the Kerberos disappears. And which is just kind of, it just out of existence, which is also maybe another lost reference to Hurley saying the island. Yeah, like there is that. There's these mysterious deaths. I think the appearance of Daniel. I think also just the fact that no one questions, like, you weren't here 3 days ago when we left, like, where were you? Who are you? Right.
This ship is small enough. Like, I think they're like 3 or 4 days into the voyage, and already like there's rumors about people. People are looking at other people in the dining hall and like trying to imagine who they are and noticing like, okay, this one lady always comes in here by herself. She's traveling alone. It's 1899. Why is this woman traveling alone? Where is her husband? You got to have one of those. It's 1899.
It's essential.
Like, this does This does seem like a world where they would be like, hey, where's that guy from? Where's he from? Yeah, again, like I was saying earlier, like there are weird things happening and not everybody is as cognizant of them as you'd think they would be, which makes me think, okay, there's some sort of purposeful blind spot that has been like engineered into whatever experience these people are having.
I think also there is like selective understanding. Like everyone speaks their own language, but at certain very strategic, important moments, it seems like everyone can understand each other. Like not in a direct, like, wait, you understood me, didn't you? Like you laughed at my joke, even though I'm speaking a different language.
Secretly knows English.
Right, yeah. It's not like that. It's in scenes when the captain is like, I've decided to turn us back around.
Yes.
And everyone immediatly reacts like they know what he just said.
That's true.
But it's like, you're speaking in English. Not everyone here speaks English. How I was expecting a scene where everyone is like, what did he just say? What does that mean? Where like only a handful of the people who speak English know what he says. And then they have to translate and play this game of telephone, but it's instant. There's weird things. The one we saw in the trailer too, where everyone takes a sip of the tea at the same time for no reason. It's
a calibration test
at the same time. It's interesting. I don't know exactly what. One of my thoughts was also, what if they are somehow switching between like alternate realities of this thing, of like the Prometheus basically is their boat, right? It is the same design, I think. But it like, what if that was their boat in another reality somehow, and they just got shifted? Because every now and then, especially with them like reliving these flashbacks, it seems like reality is shifting somehow.
Yes.
But again, I don't know what that means. That could be a digital reality, right? Or it could be a physical one.
Hmm. Another thing, when Jerome shows up, he's wearing clearly a sailor's uniform, but nobody else in any part of the crew on the ship is wearing that uniform. And he just sort of he walks out of like where they store the coal. How was he a stowaway?
He's a stowaway.
It seems like
yes.
he just.
So
To me, it almost felt like this guy just spawned here. Like he just arose out of coal. He didn't exist before.
Essentially, because the captain went down to the coal place to tell Oleg to go check on the coal, or they had to like restart something, and Oleg had to go like hit the switch. And when Oleg went in that room, he heard something in that room there, like, is someone else in here with me? He didn't see anyone. Then after he flipped the switch and left, that's when Jerome came out of the coal, and that's why his stuff is all like covered in soot and stuff like that. So yeah, he at least stowed away, but you're right.
Yeah.
Could have just spawned in there, and that's what it's like. Oh, he just happened to spawn inside a giant pile of coal, right?
Whoops, he just no-clipped out of the place he's supposed to be in.
Exactly. I do have to give a shout out to the coal workers in there. This is the joke that I thought was hilarious.
Yes.
When you see them in episode 1, he's like, what if it's wolves? Like, what if it's a giant wolf? And they're all just like, you idiot. Like, how would a wolf do any of this? And I thought that would be like the one and done thing. But then we see him in like episode 3 or 4, and the same guy comes back and has a necklace of garlic. And his friend is like, what's that for? He's like, protection. He goes, against what? He goes, the wolves. And he's like, you idiot. That won't keep the wolves away. That's vampires. And then they go, he's like, vampires aren't real. Or he says something like that. They get in this argument of like.
Yeah. He's like, I think werewolves and vampires are pretty similar. And they're like, neither of them are real. And
he's like, well, how do you know,
they're like,
dude?
what? Have you ever seen a vampire? And his argument is, I've never seen Russia, but I know Russia is real.
I laughed so hard at that. I was like, this is great. I love these characters. Because if this is a simulation, this, I think, is a theory against it. They are stuck down there in the coal mine. They have nothing to do with anything else going on in this ship except just shoveling coal.
Well, they're the coders.
Are they?
They're the coders. They're maintenance. Yeah, like they are not people who are in the simulation. I think maybe they're part of like engineering the simulation, but they're like low-level lackeys who just sort of move things around and they don't truly know the purpose of what's happening.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's my point, is that they really aren't involved with the plot and the mystery, at least as far as we know. I mean, who knows? There's still 4 episodes to go. It might be wolves and vampires.
Right. We might get a whole flashback episode for Garlic Boy.
Right. Yeah. That other French woman who seems to be in charge of the Chinese women there. They seem to be indebted to her. She could absolutely be a vampire. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
And when she first arrives, when she's first talking to Mora, there's something about this lady where I thought, oh, she knows something. She's the key to everything.
She knows more. She knows more.
And as the show goes on, it's clear that she is running some sort of sex service where she is connected to these sex workers all across the globe and is like pulling them into this probably very shady job like there in New York City. So I know she's knows more in like a criminal sense, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is the larger plot of this. Maybe she's not just this sort of madam of the women, who she's taking on this ship, but maybe she is, one of the controlling forces of the meta game. She's one of the scientists putting all these people in the simulation. Who knows? Before I forget, the part that I laughed at so hard, again, I don't think it is supposed to be a joke. I don't think it's supposed to be funny. We talked about how the people on the bottom levels of the ship are literally gated away from everybody else. It's like an old time elevator grate that's over the stairs down there. And it's the Spanish guy who goes up to, is it Crester?
Yeah.
Yes, the hand job through the metal grate. I thought this was hysterical that the hand job comes with this metallic chunk, 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 chunk noise.
He's really banging the gate. Yeah, he
is doing that so hard.
Such
this
force,
is aggressive.
Right? With such force. It is
right,
wild.
Just this unnecessary loud metallic hand job, I thought.
And
was
still
so
no one can like hear this thing of like when they ask it because they find the dead girl, and when Crester finally shows up, they're like, "Where have you been?" Of course, he can't say because he doesn't want to be like, "I was just giving a hand job to some random Spanish guy up there." But how did none of them hear this? It's this loud metallic banging.
Right. Nobody heard it. Like, I would love a cut to like Garlic Boy, and he's like, "You hear that banging? I think it's a ghost."
Yeah. Right? Something like that would have been fantastic. But yeah, I don't know where this is going yet. There's still so many places that this could go. With the kind of religious stuff happening, there is a supernatural element to all of this. Is the young boy the Grim Reaper? Is Daniel the Grim Reaper here? I don't know. Something I did also look up, the name Moira.
Moira.
Yeah,
although maybe you can pronounce it by Moira in Ireland or something, but it is spelled Moira.
It's spelled it's Maura.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the show they pronounce it Moira. Just not the spelling I'm used to. But I looked up the name. There is a line where she says she's not Irish, but the Irish name, even though she has red hair and kind of has an accent that implies she might be from over that way. The Irish definition of the name. Let me pull up my notes. I've been writing back and forth to someone about all of this stuff. Where is it here?
Captain's log. Thursday, November 17th.
Right. Here we go. So the name Mora means star of the sea. Interesting that they're out on a boat in the middle of the water, but in most languages means something like dark. The Hebrew defines the name as the wished for child, or rebellion, or bitter, which the Irish definition also translates to bitter. So I don't know if that is anything here, but I had a moment in my mind where I was like, what if she is the devil? Like, she seems to be the one, because there is the thing is that her name was on the manifest for the Prometheus. So then how is she also on this ship too? There is something weird going on with that. We don't know if that is a supernatural power or if this is just a simulation that is repeating, or some time loop or some weird alternate reality thing, or if it's not everyone is who they say they are. And like you said, she had something up with her memory. She can't remember stuff, so maybe she is not Moira. I don't know. But right now, I have no idea where this is going exactly.
Yeah, you can kind of tell you can maybe get to what flavor of mystery you are dealing with, but the details, who's pulling the strings, why the strings are being pulled, how the strings were constructed and tied to puppets, you don't know any of that yet. It's exciting. I think the stuff is fun. I like that the show really didn't waste any time in immediately being like, we are a mystery box show. Like, that is our entire purpose. That is our brand. This isn't going to be a slow build. It's going to be weird immediately. Have fun.
Indeed. The next thing I want to talk about for a quick bit is the anachronistic songs at the end of every episode. The like classic rock songs that play at the end of this. Of course, the opening credits is also a cover of White Rabbit. That first episode does that song proper at the end, which that song implies some mystery, like some rabbit hole that you fall down, right? I think these songs are also clues. I'm wondering if these clues are also a little bit too on the nose. I did see a pretty scathing article about 1899 from, I think, Kotaku. It was the website that was like, the worst thing about this show is the songs. They're awful at the end here. They're so on the nose. They list out the songs except for the final two, which they said are spoilers. So that's also why I'm kind of been like, I wonder if these are clues and maybe some line in the song mirrors what's happening, and which they do, or is some hint at who the characters are in episode 4 when this kid returns. What's the song that's playing? Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, could he be the Grim Reaper here? Like, is this something? Because they are dealing with death and like seeing your loved ones, as well as the whole like ferryman thing to death. I don't know.
Nope.
They could all be dead, and this is purgatory, right?
Right. Like, I think, like, they thought the boy was dead, and then when Don't Fear the Reaper plays as he reappears, I thought it was like, oh, maybe this is, you have entered some sort of a space where you can't die. Don't fear the Reaper.
Absolutely be
Go
like
ahead and jump off. Yeah.
Yeah, it could absolutely be something like that.
I was not thinking very much about these songs at the end of the episode, because that's something Dark did. I think just about every episode of Dark ended with a musical montage where you sort of checked in on all the characters you'd been spending time with that episode. Like 10 minutes from the end, everybody, like every episode had this montage where it sort of circled back around to everybody, tied things up in a knot, and then there was like one final scene, and that was the end of the episode. And Dark was a show that had a lot of time travel, and the song they were using was not always tied to the time they were in. It's not like they only played 80s songs when they were in the 80s.
Right.
So I wasn't thinking, I was seeing this as like a stylistic echo of something that these creators had done before. Like, this must be a format that they like. So I just thought about it in that sense. And the songs are like, they're kind of well trod songs. Like, Don't Fear the Reaper sounds cool, but but you've heard it in so many different circumstances. Like, they've heard it in an episode of Supernatural or something. Like, it's hard to hear it in a dramatic context like this and feel like you've really seen something new. That was my only critique of it, was, at least in these 4 episodes we saw, there's songs I like. There's songs that I think are good thematic matches, but there's not anything in that scene where the song is used that's like, wow, you've really done something new with that song.
Yeah, the thing that I would like to add to what you just said is, I think, well, the like song playing at the end of an episode during a montage thing is a very popular trope that all sorts of TV shows do. But Dark, the songs never felt anachronistic. They never felt like they felt tonally like they should be in there. It felt like it mixed in with the score of that show, with the opening theme. Like it felt cohesive in a way.
Yeah.
These songs in 1899 to me stand out. Like that, like sore thumb, right? Like they like, oh, this should not be the kind of song that's playing right now, except for maybe to give me some kind of hint or clue or message. Like this is like it's not tonally cohesive, but maybe in the message it is. It's cohesive in a different way. That I think is the way I'm viewing it. So I don't know what to think of them, because I don't think they're bad songs. I don't think they're bad song choices. I liked the choice of the trailer using the All Along the Watchtower one, which I know comes up later on in the series. They use that one. Because that sparked some discussion for us of like, that song implies some kind of duty, someone who is watching out for some kind of threat, right? So like, is there someone on the boat who has that job, or is it something like that? Does this song choice imply something about the show that we can extrapolate and go on that way? I think because I don't know what to make of the mystery yet, I don't know what to make of the songs yet.
Yeah.
So
we have to watch. We have to learn more. I did notice that these songs that they are playing are they're from like the 60s through the 80s. We haven't had anything that is contemporary to our time yet. And I did kind of wonder if they're just going
cover of the White Rabbit at the start in the opening credits. Like, I'm not sure when that song was made, but
but the source song is several decades old. I did notice that. I did wonder if... Okay, so the show is called 1899, and you look at the logo, and it's that triangle. Triangles have existed forever. But when you think about the time period of 1899, I don't think about a lot of geometric shapes. I think about that in like the 20s with like Art Deco and things like that. So even though triangle has existed forever, this like bright, clear, like graphic triangle logo does feel like a little more modern than the time we're in. And the font, it's in this like clear, like sans serif font. Again, another thing that doesn't feel like it really belongs in the year. And I'm like, this doesn't look like 1899. This looks like 1989. So I did kind of wonder, maybe
there's a modernist approach to that logo. I think we see a different version of it on the panel that covers up those mysterious shafts, where at least the thing that is dividing that triangle is made to look like it is a prism on its own thing, like it is a 3D object thing, right? But the actual logo that we typically see is just these very simple modernist lines, which, sure, mysterious. It's very cult-like, right? But when you think of like secret societies and their symbols, they are these very intricate like tools and designs, and there's details in them. Like you think of like the all-seeing eye on the back of our dollar bill and all of that stuff. You think of the Freemasons logo. It's these very intricate stuff where it's not just a simple shape with a thing in that.
Yeah, it's so minimal. It doesn't. It feels like it's on like the cover of a techno album or something. Like a band whose name is just all capital letters, like with the vowels removed, and maybe there's like spaces in there. Right.
The Prism, the Pink Floyd Dark Side of them. Is that what I'm thinking of? Right? Yeah, like that type of thing.
That's an up triangle.
Well, it's a triangle. All right.
It's a triangle. It's a triangle. But so the technology, the anachronistic technology we see in the show, like episode 2 ends with you like zoom out from a shot of the captain, and it's on like an old-timey TV, not old-timey, but like a 60s, 70s looking TV screen. It's like a very end of WandaVision episode 1 type of ending where you pull out and you see Right. And like when Daniel like unlocks that panel on the side of the ship and there's like a weird Morse code thing and like a couple buttons, they look like elevator buttons. Like they don't look from that time period, but they also don't look really contemporary. I was wondering if this is a simulation, when is the simulation being created? What is the main
Sure.
timeline? Maybe it's 1989, and they're like, as part of your treatment, we were sending you back 100 years to 1890, 90 years to
Yeah.
1899.
Could be something like
And
that.
so
It
like
could be. Now I'm even thinking of like Cold War era. Like, what if this is like FBI, MK Ultra, CIA stuff like that? Some kind of like fringe science experiment that is maybe gone wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, if we don't know what the goal is, we can't tell if it's gone wrong or not.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I did think about that a little. Like maybe that's a reason why we are getting classic rock songs. Like I think the most modern song we heard is "The Killing Moon" by Echo and the Bunnymen. Like I did notice nothing. We only have a sample size of 4, but I'm like nothing is from our time. Maybe the fact that it's in this particular time period in musical history does kind of mean something. I was thinking about it a little, but not as much as I was like, oh, this is like what they did in Dark again.
Yeah.
Remember Dark?
I'm just trying to extrapolate any kind of detail that the camera lingers on.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, does the
what
room
does any of it mean?
10, 11, does that like coincide with some kind of Bible verse? Maybe does that coincide with a date? Does that I don't know? 1899. If you add 1 and 8,
binary.
that's another 9. Yes,
1011. Just simple binary.
I did look it up. That doesn't necessarily mean anything in binary. So I don't know. But yeah, that would be another hint at it is a simulation, right? It is just up or down. It is on or off. It is a binary, some kind of matrix like code. But yeah, I don't know. I was saying add the 1 and the 8. It's another 9. 999 is like an angel number, which adds to the religious connotations. The upside down, because the triangle is also upside down. That's 666, right?
Yeah.
Which is the mark of the beast. Two, they think the kid is the devil. He might be the Grim Reaper. Like, there's so much stuff in here that I'm like, everything must mean something. So I'm overthinking everything here.
I think there is a lot of detail and care in this show. We can tell that things mean things. We just don't have enough context yet to tell what they mean. And this might be the sort of show where even after you've seen the whole thing, you'll rewatch it and you're like, oh, yeah. I never picked up on this motif.
Absolutely.
Which is always exciting.
Absolutely. I do have to say, so far, I think my favorite character is Jerome. I like him a lot.
I like him a lot.
He's a good guy.
I think the people from Spain are really interesting. Like that guy, the guy's not nice. He's not a good guy, but he's really interesting to watch. Like those two have got really interesting chemistry with each other.
Yeah. All of these characters I think are really fascinating to watch. They're all great actors. It's phenomenal. I do also want to shout out the sound design. I was watching the show with these headphones on. The creaking of the ship, the little conversations you can hear in the background. It's all mumbling, so you can't like actually hear stuff, but you can hear like people talking in different languages in the background. I don't know if you'd truly be able to hear if you were just listening to this on like TV speakers or stuff like this. The sound design is amazing in this show. It's creepy. It's eerie. There's that weird like modern real synthy score, that like deep sub bass that's on it. Yeah, it's interesting. fascinating for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
good
I'm
show
having fun so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna reconvene. Thanksgiving plans kind of throw a wrench in how quickly we are able to meet again to record. Might not be for like another week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. But we look forward to it. We will watch more. We'll finish it and we'll report back.
Absolutely. Keep your eyes peeled for part 2 of our coverage. All will be revealed, maybe, for this next one. But I'm excited to check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. That being said, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. We will also be posting all of our stuff on co-host from now on. We are just at the Whatnauts on co-host 2. So please go check us out over there. That being said, this is number 94 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.